They told you that you are free, free to think in your own way, free to choose your own path, free to believe that your life belongs entirely to you, yet no one ever explained who designed the paths, who defined the choices, or who decided which thoughts would feel natural and which would feel dangerous to explore. What if freedom, as you experience it, is not something you possess, but something carefully shaped, a controlled space where movement is allowed only in directions that never threaten the structure holding everything together? This is not a story about enemies hiding in shadows, and it is not about secret meetings or dramatic conspiracies, but about a quiet system of influence so subtle that it feels like common sense. A system that does not demand your obedience, but patiently earns your consent. Most people imagine control as something loud and obvious, as orders shouted from above, rules enforced through force, and power that announces itself with authority. Yet the most effective form of control never raises its voice, because it never needs to. Real control whispers, through repetition, through reward and punishment, through subtle signals that tell you what is acceptable, what is admirable, and what should never be questioned, until those signals stop feeling external and begin to feel like your own inner voice. You believe you are choosing what to watch, what to value, and what to believe. Yet every option that reaches your awareness has already passed through layers of selection, filtration, and framing. Shaping not only what you see, but what you never notice is missing. You scroll through endless streams of information that feel limitless, unaware that infinity can exist inside boundaries. And that abundance can still be carefully managed to guide attention away from anything that might disturb the surface of normality. The system does not take away your freedom because taking it would create resistance. Instead, it narrows your freedom so gradually that each limitation feels reasonable, practical, even necessary, until the idea of stepping outside those limits feels uncomfortable rather than liberating. From the moment you are born, your mind begins a process of conditioning that does not rely on lies but on patterns, on repetition, and on emotional reinforcement, teaching you what brings approval, what leads to rejection, and what must be avoided if you wish to belong. Over time, curiosity becomes something you reserve for safe subjects. Questions become carefully shaped to avoid discomfort, and silence starts to feel easier than honesty, not because you are weak, but because you have learned the invisible costs of standing out. The most effective prisons do not have walls, guards, or locked doors, because they exist as habits, as fears, as quiet self-censorship, where you pause before speaking, soften your thoughts, and adjust your identity to fit expectations you never consciously agreed to. You are not forced to stay inside this prison, yet leaving it requires something far more difficult than rebellion, because it requires awareness, and awareness is the one thing the system works hardest to prevent. That is why distraction is everywhere, why noise never stops, why entertainment fills every empty moment, because silence is dangerous, and a mind left alone long enough will begin to notice patterns, connections, and inconsistencies that were never meant to be examined closely. When a person begins to see clearly, they do not become angry at the world. They become distant from it, observing, without emotional attachment, recognizing when fear is manufactured, when desire is engineered, and when outrage is carefully directed to keep attention away from deeper questions. Stepping outside the frame does not mean rejecting society. It means understanding it, seeing how comfort is used as a leash, how convenience becomes a substitute for meaning, and how most people are not controlled by force, but by their attachment to familiarity. The most unsettling realization is not that the system exists, but that it works because people participate in it willingly, defending it, maintaining it, and passing it on. Because certainty feels safer than doubt, and comfort feels better than truth. If this video feels unsettling, it is because something inside you already recognizes these patterns, already senses that reality is layered, that truth is fragmented, and that most of what you see is only one carefully selected angle. This channel exists to slow things down, to create space for thought, and to look beyond the surface without rushing to conclusions or offering easy answers. Because the goal is not to tell you what to think, but to help you notice the frame you've been looking through all along. And once you become aware of the frame, once you recognize its edges and understand its purpose, you may find that the most difficult part is not seeing the truth, but living in a world where most people choose not to look. Every secret has a frame.